Who does Disney vlogging better, Mammoth Club or Paging Mr. Morrow? We're doing a matchup here, and we're going to talk about both of these channels and what they do and who's doing Disney better. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Welcome to the Main Street Moments podcast. All right, now, I want to talk about both of these channels. Paging Mr. Morrow has an insane underdog story, and Mammoth Club has an interesting story as well. So just give a little background on the two of these and what's going on here, okay? These are two of the biggest YouTubers at Disney. I know they do some things other than Disney, but they're mostly Disney. Mm-hmm. Paging Mr. Morrow for years was doing a channel with his wife.
Ex-wife.
Well, now they're his ex-wife.
Veronica, yes.
And then his wife left him.
Right.
And Nate left Florida. He went back. Nate is the guy that he's Paging Mr. Morrow. His real name's Nate. Paging Mr. Morrow left Florida when his wife left him, went to Pennsylvania, tried to do some YouTubing up there, didn't do too well. He did one really cool video. He found the mansion and he vlogged it, which was really cool, that the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World is based on. That was cool. But that was all. So he came to Florida. He came back to Florida because it wasn't working out up there. He was working at Denny's. He was sleeping on friends' couches and sometimes said he was even sleeping in his car because he was doing these long shifts and he was far away. And he was still finding time to vlog at Disney. And then all of a sudden, his channel blew up, and Paging Mr. Morrow, he's got a lot. He got over 200,000 subscribers now. He's got a drink named after him at the Mexican Pavilion at Epcot. He's got his own line of shirts from, what's the name of the company?
Roosevelt's.
From Roosevelt. I have Roosevelt shirts. I don't.
Very nice.
I don't have the Paging Mr. Morrow Roosevelt's, but I do have some Roosevelt shirts. So he has his own line of shirts from a high-end national brand and a drink named after him at Walt Disney World, which I don't know any other YouTuber that has that. Now,
I don't know any other Disney vlogger, TikToker that has achieved that kind of.
No, it's they all dream of it. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, Mammoth Club, Molly, who for a long, long time was with another channel, allears.net. She worked there. She used to work at Disney, and she's probably one of the leading experts out there in the vlogger world.
I'd say she is the leading expert on Disney.
Yeah.
I really, because she worked for Disney and she was with All Ears for so long, and allears.net was extremely heavy on information. And so I think she probably knows more about how to do Disney than anybody.
Well, Molly with Mammoth Club, she was with allears.net for a long, long time. She's an authority on everything involving Disney.
Yeah.
The history of Disney, the history of the parks, the history of the attractions. And she also knows how things work so that you can get the most out of your day and vacation.
But who do you think, because we now, full disclosure, Brian and I, hadn't done a podcast in a while. Other things were going on. So we really were not watching a lot of Disney vlogs for a while, but we have been catching up. And this week I have watched quite a few, and Brian has too, of Paging Mr. Morrow and Mammoth Club specifically to do this head-to-head versus of the two, because we felt we wanted to do a podcast about, a head-to-head versus like two of the top vloggers. And these are the two we chose because we really feel they're the top two. And that's just our personal opinion. But as far as consistency, coverage, views, we feel that they are in the top two channels, don't you think?
Yeah.
So we're like, well, who's better then between the two of them?
Now, Molly is the woman behind Mammoth Club, and she's on the channel with her husband and another guy. His name, I don't really know who
I think Alan is her husband.
Alan's her husband. I don't know the other guy's name.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
But,
she's not on as much.
She left allears.net and started this channel. Yeah. And we talked about this when she first started this channel, Mammoth Club. And when she first started it, I really didn't care for it that much. She was doing things in a much different way than she did with allears.net. We talked a lot about it. And the interaction with her and her husband, there was too much bickering and things going on between the two of them. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I hated that.
And as Kathy said, we took a break from watching any of the YouTubers for quite some time, including Mammoth Club. And we started getting into all the channels again. And I've watched a few of Mammoth Club's videos in the last few weeks, and they are phenomenal. And I think they've worked out most of the quirk. I'm sure we're not the only ones that noticed the problems in the beginning with her and the husband. They were just too bickery, and it was just a little too weird.
I think they might have thought it was cute to argue, and I hated it. It made me uncomfortable, and I said that when we talked about it. I said their name is stupid, and I still think it's stupid. And
Mammoth Club.
And I said, and I don't like the bickering with her and her husband. It's annoying, and it's making me not like him or her. But I feel, and not because of anything I've said or Brian, but I feel they've found their stride since I've watched them. And I haven't watched their videos in months, but I did watch quite a few this week. And I will agree with Brian. Their videos are very enjoyable, informational, and it's much more professional than it was before. I really don't care about their personal dynamics. And they're, that bickering and the couple thing, I don't think it's cute. I think at that level, being professional is best, but also friendly and inviting, which they do have. However, I will say this. So you think Mammoth Club does Disney better?
Well, no, they
is
do.
What you're saying. You got to pick one. Which one do you think?
Well, we'll talk about it at the end. I'll decide.
Why not say now?
Because I'm not sure yet. We got to process it a little bit.
Well, I know my choice already.
Mammoth Club and Paige and Mr. Morrow, they do very different types of vlogging. And as an example, I'll give one example of each, okay? This last week, if you're listening to this, the week that we upload it, Mammoth Club put up a video, which was a challenge that I've not seen done quite this way before. They did a challenge to ride every ride in all the theme parks at Walt Disney World here in Florida in a 24-hour period. And I know people have done all these different challenges and everything, and most of the time they're gimmicky. But
that's a tough challenge.
But of course, spoiler alert, they accomplished it. In 24 hours, they rode every single ride at both parks. Now, that does not mean every attraction. That means the rides, okay? And they went through the process that they did it in. Now, it was very interesting. But in the beginning, Molly's husband said something, and I was like, are they calling out some other YouTubers?
Oh.
They said,
that's always fun.
And if you go and watch that video, riding all the rides at Walt Disney World in 24 hours, which is not easy to do, Alan and her doing the introduction, her husband, and Alan says, we're going to take a selfie on each ride so that you know that they actually did it.
Right.
And he says, because we're, YouTubers of integrity or something. Oh. So what I was wondering
Unlike others, I guess.
Have there been other Disney World YouTubers who have done that but cheated and really didn't ride everything?
I'm sure there have.
That was an interesting reference. But here's the thing, okay?
Yeah, why is it important for him to let you know that they have integrity?
As opposed to some other YouTubers.
Why is that? I wonder what that's about.
Prince Charming Dev said recently that all the Disney YouTubers hate each other.
I just can't imagine that any Disney vlogger has no integrity.
He said they all hate each other. I don't know if that's true or
so that's important
they just
for him
all
to
hate
let
him.
You know.
Or maybe he hates everybody. I don't know. But when they went through, and they did accomplish it, but they went through so many hoops to do it, okay? They stayed at a deluxe resort so you get early admission. They went to an after-hours party at the Magic Kingdom, which is an extra ticketed event.
Right. And you have to do that.
And they talked about, you stack. We don't have our fast passes anymore. They have that Genie thing. So they were stacking the wait times on the Genie. It was very complex, expensive, because you got the special ticketed event. You're staying in a deluxe hotel. And the stacking of your wait times, our daughter can do that like a pro.
Emily is so good at that kind of stuff. Yeah, it blows my mind.
Our daughter does it. I go to the parks with her.
Yeah, you just hand her the phone.
I get more done with her in an afternoon than I get in 6 months myself.
She lives near Disneyland. She's good in both parks.
Yeah, she does at Disneyland.
She manages the whole thing. She's done in 5 minutes. She gets you on everything.
But the way that Mammoth Club did it, they did this video as not just a stunt. It was meant as an instructional video on how you could do this too. Because, we live in Florida. We have annual passes. It doesn't cost us much to go to the park. But most people don't live in Florida that go to Disney, and they spend thousands and thousands of dollars. So people are trying to – so the video was meant for those people so they can get the most out of their vacation as possible, which is writing. But it was so complex, I couldn't duplicate it.
I could not
accomplish it.
I don't think that many people would do that. So I disagree with you on that. I think it's more for entertainment value. And this is the problem I had with that video and some of their videos. I like them. I've grown to like Alan. I didn't like him at first, but that's not, whatever. And I've always liked Molly, and I think she is the foremost expert on Disney. No doubt about that.
Yeah, and they did another video, just to mention one other one. I'll be more brief on the next one.
Well, I wasn't done telling you my thought on that.
Okay, go ahead.
But I feel when they sometimes get these challenges, if they present them in a way where it's something you might do, you need to have like a notepad and a pen when you watch their videos. I think their videos are too long, first of all.
Yeah, they're about an hour.
They're too long for me, even though I know we have podcasts that can go long, but that's a little different than a vlog. I don't see them as the same. Podcasts are typically 45 minutes to an hour if you listen to any podcast, and you could stop and listen later. But a video like that, you can stop and listen later too. But I almost feel like they're too complicated and there's too much information. It's kind of like when you have somebody who's an expert, at playing like Rachmaninoff or Beethoven, and they try to explain it to somebody who's never played the piano before.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is to me. Like, dumb it down. And the reason I feel Paging Mr. Morrow is better at doing Disney, not because he's dumb, but he explains things in a much simpler, more easy way for me. Maybe I'm stupid, but he explains things in a more laid-back way. It's a more casual way. I don't feel like I got to take notes like I'm in a class. That's the difference for me. So I think Morrow is better at doing Disney. He seems to be having more fun.
Yeah.
Molly and Alan, it's like a marathon, and it's intense.
It is intense.
It's good, but it's not relaxing. And I prefer relaxing and just enjoying it. But other people, everybody's different, so tell us what you think.
They did another vlog. I'll be a little briefer about this one than the first one, but it was on one of those new cheapo hotels at Universal. Is it Endless Summer?
The Endless Summer, yeah.
And I'm not into staying in those I've not stayed in those hotels, and I don't stay in the El Cheapo hotels at Universal, not because I'm a snob, but I don't stay in the hotels there very much. So when I do, I like to stay in one of the nicer ones where I can walk to the park.
But not everybody can do that.
Well, I've seen a lot of videos on those two cheap hotels, the Endless Summer and the other one, and they look like hostels in Europe or something. Yeah. Because
I've heard that the beds are really uncomfortable.
I see the rooms; they look awful, and
you get what does you pay for.
But Molly and her husband on Mammoth Club, they did a YouTube video on the Endless Summer Resort, and it was so good.
It was a good video.
That I thought, you know what, I might stay there for Halloween Horror Nights this year. Even though I would normally stay in one of the ones I could walk to. So when Halloween Horror Nights is over, I could just walk to my hotel. I might stay in the Endless Summer now, which I never would have stayed in because the video was so good. I would read the reviews
on that before you do that, because with vloggers, you've got to take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, how many vloggers really go out and vlog something and tell you all the negative? Not many. It's usually, this is great. They might throw in one or two little negative things, but it is mostly positive and a good experience. And that's because they want to get in good with these parks, and they want to get perks and things like that. So I would look at the reviews on TripAdvisor, do your research. I've read bad reviews on that when it first opened. Now, maybe that the beds were awful. Maybe they've gotten better mattresses. So I don't know. I think budget hotels are great, and they're fine. And we've stayed at budget hotels many times when Emily was little. So any advice a vlogger gives you, like I said, take it with a grain of salt, do more research if that's important to you. I think where you stay does matter, and it can make or break your vacation sometimes, because if you're out in the park walking all day and your back hurts and your feet hurt and all that, you want to come home back to a hotel that has a comfortable bed and that's a comfortable place to rest and get a really good night's sleep. Now, I think that matters.
Now, Paging Mr. Morrow, his vlogs are completely different. Molly at Mammoth Club, they're very instructional, very intense.
Some of them, it's like a college lecture.
Well, I don't know about that, but they're pretty intense. There's a lot of information. Yeah, a lot of information.
You wonder if you're going to get a test at the end.
Paging Mr. Morrow is like one of the recent videos of his this week. He went to Universal to get some new cookies. One that was at the Tower of Terror, and there was one in Toy Story Land, I think was the other one.
Yeah, they look good.
And so I think the two vlogs are for different types of people.
Right.
Like I said, Mammoth Club is for people that go to Disney once every year or 5 years. They're spending a lot of money. They want to get as much in as they can in a short time. And I get that because you're spending a lot of money. Paging Mr. Morrow is for people like us that can go any time we want. We can go,
or maybe locals,
30 times a year, or locals, and you're just hanging out and
I
looking.
See what you're saying.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just looking to hang out and do something a little different and not be intense. You understand what there's this thing that we talk about a lot, and the regular Disney people know, called the Disney rage. If you're at a Disney park at Walt Disney World and you look around, it won't take you long to find a couple that are at each other's throats. They're very upset.
They're screaming at their kids.
Or screaming at each other. You see this even in the hotels because they're spending more money than it costs to fly to Europe for 2 weeks and spend your vacation with your family over there oftentimes.
Sometimes they're spending as much as you can buy a car.
Or go to Australia. I mean, people spend a lot of money to go to Disney World, and it causes big fights, the Disney rage. And Mammoth Club is for those people.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I think it's for people, yes, that want as much information as possible. But sometimes you can have too much information and get overwhelmed by it. And I agree, it's a different type of audience. I like both. I will say that, but I think Nate does Disney better, just for my personal taste. Like I said, I like a more laid back kind of vibe. And he genuinely seems like he's enjoying himself and not burnt out at all, that he's really having fun. Not saying that Molly and Alan are burnt out, but to me, it seems more corporate, more business. And with him, it seems more like just a guy having a good time. Not saying that he's not making money or that it's not a business. I'm just saying by the tone. It's just different. So tell us what you think about that between the two. Who does Disney vlogs better, Paging Mr. Morrow or Mammoth Club? And Mammoth Club, the name still sucks. I'm sorry. I think they would get, now he's got more views than them. I think they would get more views if they had a better name, because Mammoth Club has nothing to do with Disney and new people that are going to come across that name. I just think it's a horrible name. I'm sorry. I'm never going to change.
No,
my mind
I
on
agree
that.
with you. I agree.
It makes no sense to me. I know it's their names. I get it, but their channel, Paging Mr. Morrow, if you're a Disney fan, you know what that means. It's from Space Mountain. It's from the People Mover in Space Mountain, that part in that ride.
Yeah.
And it is probably, other than our channel name, the best channel name I've ever seen
it's a good
for
one.
Disney. It's really good.
It's a good one.
But Mammoth Club, it's like is it paleontology? It's just, I don't get it.
Yeah, like it could be like Molly Knows Disney, something like that.
I think they should have kept her name because she's so well known. Molly Knows Disney would have been really great. And also, one more thing, I personally like a channel when there's one face for the channel. Like, I don't love when the trackers go to the park together. I like when Tim goes alone.
Yeah.
I prefer that. And again, nothing against Jen or Alan, but I think Molly is better by herself.
I agree.
And I think Tim is better by himself. That's just my personal preference to do. Maybe Alan could do some videos on his own or whatever and see how that goes. You don't always have to be stuck together like glue. You know, like Resort TV 1, I know they do live streaming, but Jenna does a lot of videos on her own, and I know they're not married, they're brother and sister, but I watched her video the other day. She does a lot of shopping videos and vlogs. I watch all of those. I love her shopping vlogs. I think they're great, or her live streams, and she does her own thing. So you don't always have to be joined at the hip and do everything together.
Well, so I got kind of a draw on both because I like both channels. They're just different, so I know I'm kind of wimping out on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cowardly.
Which is not normal. It's like I just don't. I like them both for different reasons.
But if you had to pick, like if your life depended on it, who would you say? I think you're leaning towards
my life
Mammoth.
depended on watching a Disney YouTuber.
No, if you had to pick one or the other, I'm thinking you're leaning towards Mammoth.
Probably Mammoth Club.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Mammoth
different
Club.
Strokes for different
Mammoth
folks.
Club. Yeah, that would I would lean towards Mammoth Club. Yeah, absolutely. Now, a video popped up on my YouTube recommendations from a channel that I've not watched in a long time. Here with the Ears, and something came up with Here with the Ears, and they're not a very well-known channel, although they have a few thousand subscribers. A few years back, they did something which you would think they would have 100,000 or 1 million subscribers from, but it really didn't pan out that way for them. This couple lived at Disney for a year. They stayed at hotels.
They sold their house.
Yes, they did. They said. Yeah, yes. They sold their house and moved to Disney and lived there for an entire year, going from hotel to hotel. And
but it was so strange because they didn't really show you the hotels as much. They just talked about it. It was they were very strange. I couldn't get into that.
It's a very weird channel.
It's a weird channel.
It's a very weird channel. Here with the Ears, you guys can look it up.
They're a little odd.
Yeah, they have 29,600 subs.
That's good.
So it's not a tiny channel.
No, it's a decent number.
But it costs 6 figures for them to stay at Disney World hotels for the entire year.
I'm not saying they didn't do it, but they vlogged it in a weird way. That's all. It was just they were weird vlogs.
They stayed there for a year, and they really didn't document it as vloggers. I don't know if they were doing Instagram or something, but they did a series of videos where they relived the experience.
Yeah, it was really day 5,
day
day 6.
They did a year of videos where each day they sat in their house or apartment and told you about a day that they spent at Disney living in a hotel.
Bizarre.
It's very difficult to explain because it's so weird.
Yes.
The channel's bizarre. And I've not watched – I watched it many, many times because it's so strange, weird, and freaky. I'm like, I got to watch the next one.
You're like, am I hallucinating?
Yeah. I felt like it's very strange. It's Here with the Ears. But anyway, I've not watched them in a long, long time. And they popped up on my recommendations today. And the title of this video is Life Update, Why Did We Disappear and What's Next? And I thought, that sounds interesting. Yeah. So I watched it, and it was just the husband without the wife. And the husband has been trespassed and banned from the Disney parks, like Adam the Woo once was. And what had happened...
Crazy.
So they haven't been making videos because he's been banned from the parks.
I would cry. Like, I would be so devastated if that happened to me. Even though I don't go to the parks very often, but just the thought of it.
Just start going to Disneyland, I guess, in California. That's, like Adam the Woo is still banned from Universal Orlando, but he goes to Universal California. He got his ban lifted from Disney World, though. But anyway, so the husband got banned from the parks. And they found out about this. They showed up to the parks, and they swipe in with their passes, and the light lit up blue, which I've not seen before. It's green. It lights up green, or sometimes
if it lights up blue, you're in trouble. Apparently,
yeah. It lit up blue. It usually lights up green. I've seen it light up red, and so they go to guest services, and a park manager and a cop came up and talked to them, and trespassed him from the Walt Disney World parks. They left one thing off, which I'll tell you about in a minute, which is so Disney. This is insane. And apparently he's a travel agent. And what he was doing was organizing group trips to the Walt Disney World theme parks. And then he would lead people through the parks as a tour guide. And Disney has banned an unknown number of people who were doing that. Okay?
He said about 100.
I read a few stories on it today because I looked it up afterwards, and there's varying numbers. Some say hundreds, some say dozens. He said about 100. He has a lawyer. He's appealing it. It has not been resolved yet. This happened several months ago, like the end of last year. I just
think they
found out
officially banned giving tours in December. They made it official, I think, in December, I read. But it was always like not allowed or poo-pooed or that people knew you can't, Disney, because they have their own tour guides that cost a fortune.
Yeah, but get this. They trespassed and banned him from the parks and the properties except for his DVC home resort.
Yes, he can still pay those monthly fees.
So whatever his DVC home resort is, he can go there, but he can't leave it.
That's insane.
He's like under resort arrest. If he goes to another resort of the parks, I guess he's trespassing. It's because they didn't want to end the DVC agreement.
Seems kind of a nasty.
That tells you how bad the DVC deals must be.
Yeah,
because they don't want to lose them, I guess.
No,
but I have seen tour guides there before, but mostly, and these may be authorized. Or have these ended? I've seen groups from Brazil. And you can always tell the Brazilian groups because they wear the colors of the Brazilian flag, the green and the yellow.
Yeah, how come that's allowed? I've seen those at Epcot, like a group of 30 or 40 people.
Brazilians usually.
Usually all in the same shirt. And they have, but I think that's not really, I don't think those are tour guides. I think that's more like just a tour group. You know what I mean?
No. I've seen them.
I don't think they have like a chaperone that goes with them.
I've seen them. They're like travel agents leading a tour group, and they'll have a sign over their head with the group name and
maybe
Portuguese
they don't
and
let
stuff.
them do that anymore.
I don't know if they still do that or if they had an agreement.
Maybe they just don't let Americans do it.
I don't know. But the problem is, what Disney has said is that people are selling services that they're offering, which are the VIP things. Now, I've been on a VIP tour before. They're incredibly expensive. I did not pay for it. Okay.
This was before you and I even met. So this is 30 years ago.
I was with some actors from a television show, and they were going to Disney, and they gave them a VIP thing, and I got to tag along with these actors. And I was young, and we went to Epcot, which was pretty cool.
You should say the show.
It was actors from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian
from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Big into the conventions.
Yeah.
And stuff.
It was Marina Sirtis, who plays Deanna Troi.
Right.
And Mark Leonard, who plays Spock's father in the original Star Trek series.
Yeah.
But he was also in Star Trek: The Next Generation as Mark Leonard. But anyway, as Spock's father, Mark Leonard. They weren't big movie stars or anything. But we had a VIP thing that they gave us, and it was, because Star Trek: The Next Generation was on the air at the time.
Right. So, it was a big deal.
So, and they took us to the land, and they took all these promotional pictures on all the rides. We got to go, actually, on the Universe of Energy and got to go over where the dinosaurs were because they wanted pictures of them with the dinosaurs.
I missed that ride. I tell you, Epcot used to be so much better.
Yeah, so it was pretty good.
Now.
But anyway, the VIP thing is so expensive.
Yes,
it's so expensive, and who's going to really pay for that? Is it really even worth it?
Rich people.
Yeah, it's for movie stars.
And JoJo.
Yeah, well, JoJo does it all the time.
Yes, he's loaded.
But although JoJo did the VIP thing at Disneyland with his friend and two girls.
They seemed like they really were not happy with it. They seemed bored and that they wasted their money. Really, the only benefit from what I can see is that you get on the rides without waiting in line. That's the main benefit, is you skip the line. And celebrities do it. Like, we were at the park once and we saw Vincent D'Onofrio with it. And we saw we did see Sean Hannity when he first started on
from
Fox
News.
But he was not on a VIP tour. He was with his wife and kids. His kids were like 3 years old, and we were in line with him at Dumbo, and we're talking to him. He just started on Fox, and we're like, oh, we watch you on Fox and stuff. And he was very nice. This was before he went gray. I mean, you're talking 20 years ago.
Well, anytime I see
because Emily was about 5.
Yeah. Anytime I see a VIP tour guide, I always look to see if I recognize who they're with, because sometimes they'll be with actors and stuff.
Usually I would think somebody.
Usually it's just
famous,
rich people.
Or maybe just.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I feel about. I know Rick's Flicks. This was before the pandemic. He was going to start offering tours at Universal I don't know their policy now on that. And he was starting a business where you hire him and he takes you through the park, which I think would be awesome. I was actually going to pay to do that for you for like your birthday, and then the pandemic hit, and that was the end of that. I know Disney has looked down on this, but I'm sorry, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think Disney should let people do it and make a little money on the side for doing it. And I think it would encourage people to go to the parks in larger groups. And I think it's wrong for Disney to just make it just for them.
The reason
I don't see anything wrong with it.
The reason I brought it up, though, because we went off on a bunch of stuff. The reason I brought this up, though, is I thought it was interesting because this guy's channel is not the biggest channel. He doesn't have some massive travel agency, but still Disney knew.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to know how.
They put his name in the system, and then he got the blue light, and now he's trespassed. And they did this with at least 100 other people who were giving private tours. And it shows you, because from time to time, this topic comes up, and we talk about it sometimes, about Disney banning vloggers and live streamers. And anytime we talk about that, people say, well, how could they do it? How could they do it? Well, with this banning of the tour guides, we can see exactly how they can do it. They know that they knew who these travel guides were, and they put them in the system, and they trespassed them and banned them from the parks without meeting with them or having any conversation. So they must have seen their advertisements online or saw them on YouTube
Somehow
or
they
TikTok.
Figured it out, yeah.
So if Disney ever decided that they were going to ban live streaming or vlogging, it wouldn't be that difficult for them to do. Because they know who everybody is, like they did with this guy. They zap in, and then they get that blue thing, and then they find out.
Well, I don't think they're similar because this is somebody making money.
Well, so are live streamers and YouTubers because they're monetized on YouTube.
Yeah, but I think Disney might view it a little differently. They're bringing in groups, and they're being paid. I mean, but still the people are paying to go to the park, paying money. So I don't know why they're discouraging it. I think it's stupid. I think they should encourage it. So what if a guy's leading a tour group? He might have a group of 20 people that are all paying to go now. That might not normally do.
Well,
that.
what Disney said though is, and this was
maybe there's a liability issue.
No, what Disney said, and this makes it different than YouTubers and live streamers. Disney said that these are people who are selling services that they are offering, which are the tours of the park. YouTubers and live streamers, that's not a service that Disney's offering, right?
Right.
So it's in a little different category,
So any service that Disney offers, you can't go and do that yourself. Well, they have photographers that are there, but people can go take pictures.
This is what happened with Neon when he got thrown out of the park a few months ago.
Uh-huh.
You can't bring a film crew filming you.
No, but people can take pictures with their camera or their iPhone, and they have Disney photographers you pay to get those pictures.
Yeah, but that's
so. How's that different?
No. But if you I gave a great example with Provost Park Pass, who I think Provost Park Pass, one of my favorite YouTubers at the parks. When they first started Provost Park Pass, they didn't vlog. Like right now, they vlog like everybody else. They hold the camera. They had people filming them. They had people that were following them and filming them into the parks. You can't do that. Okay, that's against if you have somebody, you're like a film crew at that point. So that's why Neon got thrown out. That's strictly against Disney rules, and they'll toss you out if you have like a film crew following you around, like Provost Park Pass used to do, but they don't do anymore. But they do. But this thing with the travel, it shows you that they do have a way to flag people and trespass them in a stealthy way, and you're done. You can appeal it. I looked up this policy. You can appeal it, but not for a year. It says their policy is you can apply to get back in after a year.
Why can't they I wonder if they gave him a warning or if they contacted him. I doubt it. I mean, it seems to me like they just ambush you at the gate and they're like, boom. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this Tinkerbell thing. It's a little vague what's going on, but they did end the Tinkerbell meet and greet at the town hall a while ago. And people are talking about for different reasons. She still does the flyover from the castle. So she's not like banned or anything from the park, but people are saying different things online why her meet and greet ended. And some people are saying that because the way she's portrayed in the film was something with body imaging and all this nonsense, it's ridiculous. Or maybe the Tinkerbell character gets too many creepy gropers because of her costume. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why the meet and greet was canceled. So if you guys know anything, you can leave a comment. I think she's still in the parade. Maybe not the fantasy parade. I just saw it the other day. I didn't see her. So I don't know. I mean, what is so bad about Tinkerbell that she is offending people? And I know there's issues in Peter Pan with the Native Americans and all that. I mean, the movie is like 60, 70 or whatever, long ago. And I understand that there's issues with that. When you watch the movie, they give you a disclaimer. And they still have the Native Americans on the ride, though. They didn't take them out. And just the way they portray them or talk about them. And Tinkerbell I don't love Peter Pan, okay? It's not my favorite movie. I think it's a little weird. My least favorite, though, is Pinocchio. That's a horrible, horrible movie. But anyway, I don't love Peter Pan. And I've seen other renditions of it, like the live action and stuff. It's okay. It's not my favorite. I'm not into Tinkerbell. I wouldn't go out of my way to meet her, but a lot of kids do, and a lot of people do like her. And she's a popular character. And she's the whole symbol. I don't know if they still have her at the opening of movies where she lights the castle and flies in. Do they still do that? She used to on the Wonderful World of Disney. She'd fly in and light the castle, and everything would light up.
She's one of the signatures of Disney.
She's an iconic character.
The thing though with Tinkerbell,
but the meet and greet's done, and she was in there with Mickey Mouse. I mean, it was a popular meet and greet right at the front.
Disney said it's about positive body positivity, and her body doesn't reflect the image they want to portray. Some stupidity.
What is wrong with she's a fairy?
I remember
stupid.
I remember a couple years back, there were several incidents with people being inappropriate with the aerial photo thing. And I remember reading at the time, I looked for this and I couldn't find it today before the show, but I remember reading at the time that they had some similar incidents with Tinkerbell a couple of times with men. I don't know if that's the reason they did it. You know, with Disney, it's probably none of these things. They're looking to save money, and that's one less actor they have to pay, maybe. But, you know, one thing about...
I don't think it's that.
One thing about Disney, I really would like, and maybe this is because of my age, but I would like them to bring back some of the older characters, like Robin Hood. You know, at Disneyland...
Sometimes, yeah.
At Disneyland, at Galaxy's Edge, they did their Star Wars events for the May the 4th and all that. They had Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, I couldn't believe... I mean, I don't understand why we don't have that here on a regular basis, why we don't have Robin Hood, why we don't have the Ewoks and things like this. I don't understand. And I understand the little kids are into the newer things and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I love that.
One time at Hollywood Studios, this was before Galaxy's Edge opened, I saw the Jawas.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I saw them one time. I was like, oh, my goodness. I couldn't believe. And it was really neat.
Emily, our daughter, saw The Mandalorian with Grogu at Disneyland at the Galaxy's Edge there. And we put up a little short. She filmed it. And the guy, the friend of Mando, was pretty good, I got to say. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, but I don't know why this Tinkerbell thing. I think Disney put out a very vague statement. And if it's about body positivity, I don't understand. She is a fairy and she's got a girl's body. I mean, I don't get it. How is it different than anybody other girl that's in a Disney, like Ariel or, you know, I just don't understand. And they're really being vague about it. I feel like something is going on that they're not telling us. But tell us what you think about that. Do you care? Do you have an opinion on it? Do you know what happened? So I'm very interested in that too.
I think Disney overall, I think Disney is very lazy with the characters, especially here in Florida. Okay. Like I said, some of the original characters at Disneyland, I mean, they have the evil witch walking around.
No, I agree. You know? Here, in Orlando, the characters, the ones they have are fine. But I am so sick of that fantasy parade. And I'm so sick of seeing the same people over and over and over again. Very rarely will they bring out like Phineas and Ferb or somebody cool. If you watch live streams of Disneyland, or like our daughter goes there, they have way better characters coming out, much more to see. And I don't know why it's that way.
Sometimes here
it's just in Orlando, it's just kind of lame.
Sometimes here in Florida, they'll have a special ticketed event, and then they'll bring out some classic characters for that. But like Luke and Leia at Galaxy's Edge was for a special event.
That'd be so cool to see them.
It should be more of the regular
Han Solo.
time. Yeah. So listen, guys, we're out of time for today. But let us know the main topic was, who do you prefer? Who does Disney better when it comes to vlogging? Mammoth Club or Pagey Mr. Morrow? Right. I'm leaning to Mammoth Club.
Yeah, and I'm leaning to Morrow.
Yeah, you let us know what you think in the comments. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.